And good evening, everybody. Welcome to a all-new episode of Holotheatre. As always, I'm Dan Taglione, also known as DTarTag1. We're coming to you live tonight from an earlier time because later on at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, Joe Olson and Matthew Harrison Trainer are going to be playing the Champions League finals, and wanted to make sure that we had proper coverage for that. So I'm going to be doing commentary along with Garrett Larson. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys do stay tuned to the channel for that. But tonight on Holotheatre, we got a nice little episode. We got two different interviews. The first one is going to be with your tournament advocate, Chris Joenthal. Excuse me. And then our second one is with the esteemed Sheriff of Gemp himself, Batmouse, also known as Anthony Howard, where him and I reveal the long-awaited Gemp PC bracket. So if you're playing in the Gemp PC, this is your first chance at seeing that bracket, and then once the bracket is revealed, the prediction contest will be going live. So make sure you guys stick around for that one. But first, as always, let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty about what's going on in the Star Wars CCG world. I did say this just a second ago, but tonight, right after this episode, Joe Olson and Matthew Harrison Trainer are going to be playing their finals for the Champions League. That is going to be on this channel. Like I said, myself along with Garrett Larson are going to be doing commentary. So make sure you guys stick around for that. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a really good finals. This is possibly Joe's revenge tour on Matt from Worlds. Again, Matt defeated Joe Olson in the semifinals at Worlds to advance to the finals to play Justin Desai. So will we see some revenge from Joe Olson? I don't know, but by the way that both these two players are playing right now, it's anybody's finals. And then the Gem PC is about to go live. Today, the bracket is going to be revealed. Batmus will go ahead and post it into the forums and everything. And then the official start date, everybody will have until Saturday morning to put in their predictions. So if you guys want to participate in that, go ahead. And those predictions, like I said, you're going to have until Saturday morning. I believe it's going to be Saturday morning Pacific to get those brackets in. As for prizes, the prizes are looking pretty good. So definitely going to be exciting. The top 8 is going to get some prizes, and then everybody's going to get some poker chips, AI booster packs, and the Chimera alternate image V-slip foil. So definitely excited about that one. And then we're only 10 days away from the start of the San Diego Open. That, again, like I said, is going to be starting next Friday, the 20th. Right now we have 26 players signed up for that, looking like a pretty stacked field. Highlighted by, again, Joe Olson, Mike Kessling, Brian Fred, who he's not on the list yet, but I believe he is going, Phil Asen, and a lot of other really top players. And we're going to be streaming all day. That's, again, everything's going to be starting at 10 a.m. Pacific, so that's 1 o'clock Eastern on the 21st, 6 games on the 21st, and 4 games on the 22nd, followed by your final confrontation between your top 2. So if you are going, make sure you sign up, get all that information over to Chris Schoenthal as well as Chris Gogolin, and we'll get you signed up for that one. And then the OCS is right around the corner. It's going to be starting up again in February. It will be going on from February until October. So make sure if you guys are interested in playing in that, it's going to be really fun. Right now, the months for qualifying are February, March, and May for Season 1. Season 2 is June, July, and September. So make sure you guys check out those. And then if you're interested in those as well. And I think I said this a couple weeks ago and last week as well. But Chris Kelly and a few of the teams are looking for some volunteers. They are currently looking for players to come in and help with design and development, the competitive balance team, and the player card development team. All of those are really big help into making the game what it is. Design and development, again, you would be designing all the V cards. Competitive balance team is the team that gets together and determines whether or not a card is fair in the meta. And then the player card development team, those are the individuals who work with anyone who is awarded a player card. And like I said, Chris is looking for those. If you're interested, please send some emails over to design@starwarsccg.com. Make sure you guys check out the announcement thread where Chris posted about the volunteers. And last but not least, the donations program is currently still going on. It is going to be going on until March 15th. Again, the donation program is the only way to get some of these sweet, sweet deck boxes. I know Chris Kelly, he just received his. He got the Emperor Palpatine and the BB-8 ones. I know the Boba Fett one is quite popular as well. And I know that Jared has sent out some of the prize kits already, including the really sweet spatula that everybody loves. So make sure you donate if you can. Again, all your donations go to everything that the PC does, whether that's the tournaments, the streaming setup, and getting all these sweet prizes out to everybody as well. So if you're interested in donating, you have until March 15th. So that's a little over 2 months from now. So, like I said earlier, tonight's episode, all the interviews are going to be pre-recorded. The first interview is with Chris Schoenthal. We talk a little bit about the San Diego Super Open, and we get a little bit more in depth. It's finally returning to San Diego after 8 years. So please stick around for that interview, and then right after the interview with Chris, we'll be back, and then we'll have the interview with Batmouse to unveil the Game PC bracket. So see you guys in a few. Myself, Mr. Chris Schoenthal. How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm okay. It's so we are recording this on a Monday, so this is not a live interview for those who are watching today. But we have Chris on for. I think this is the first time you're on just you. Like,
Yeah, that might be true. I think I did one other one, but you're right that I did one with Jared. I might have done one like a while back, but it's been a hot minute, that's for sure.
yeah, I know we had all the advocates on at one point, and I think you were on that one, and then we had you on at Worlds recently as well. But now we're here to talk to you about the San Diego Super Open, which is returning back down to San Diego for the first time in 8 years. How does that feel?
It feels good. It's been too long to have a Star Wars event here in Southern California. They were always a really good time that everybody I think that attended that I know of at least looked forward to. And this the Southern California community has been maybe not growing per se, but definitely staying solid as one of the bastions
Mm-hmm.
of Star Wars. And uh, granted, that's more up in Los Angeles than San Diego, but due to logistics and Los Angeles being Los Angeles, Batmouse and I kind of put our heads together and decided that San Diego might be a better option. So we're really happy to be hosting again.
So you worked with Batmouse to get this one together. How was it working with the sheriff?
I mean, Batmouse is a great guy. He's incredible, and I'm happy to consider him a friend. Um, Working with him is it's pretty seamless. He's got his stuff together where it counts, and he does more of the online stuff, and so I can't speak to his sheriff role necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But as a local tournament organizer, it's great to have Batmouse in the LA area, and as a friend, and also as a chef. I'm gonna use this opportunity while we're talking about Batmouse to break a little news here. Um,
Okay.
Batmouse Saturday night of the San Diego Super Open, Batmouse will be cooking for the entire tournament and any assorted wives and or partners, children, things like that that are there. So if you're coming to the San Diego Super Open, bring your appetite, and if you're on the fence about it, that should make you sign up.
Yeah. So, how did you convince Batmouse to cook?
I don't think he needed much convincing. He's always very ready to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So he was more than happy, and I showed him the grills that are available right outside the tournament room at our hotel, and he jumped at the chance. So looking forward to that.
Okay, that's great to hear. So, how does it feel to not have to fly to a tournament in a long like this is the first time you're not flying in a long time to run something?
It is quite pleasant that I'll be sleeping in my own bed and saving the PC a little bit of money by not having to get a hotel room of my own. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I always, in addition to my role as the tournament advocate, I love San Diego and I love showing people around. I love recommending things that are local to people so they can explore the city themselves. So I'm very happy to get to do that again for a group of great Star Wars players who will be descending on our fair city.
Awesome. So, let's get into the event itself. So, again, well, the last time that San Diego hosted an event was back in 2015. I think that was just the San Diego Grand Prix, I believe.
Yeah, that was the branded the Grand Prix, which that title sort of moved over to Endor, which is why we were searching for a new one. And the Endorians were very nice about it. They were very willing to say, "Hey, there's no reason not to have two Grand Prix, or
Mm-hmm.
you're welcome to use the name again." But we just thought it would be fitting to kind of give each tournament its own name. So, and we found a cool format to go with it, so it works out.
Yeah, and so do you remember who won that tournament?
So I know if I recall correctly, the finals were Joe and Beefred. I don't remember which one of them won.
Uh, I'm actually checking right now, but I believe it was Joe.
Was it Joe? Okay.
Like it
So he's
just
he's had quite a run. People think of maybe his run as more recent, with his couple world championships and NPC wins and all the various things that he's won recently. But he's been in the scene for a good long while.
mhm. And just to confirm, yes, you on January 11th of 2015 confirmed that Joe came back to win the finals against B. Fred. B. Fred ended up winning game one by 18, and then according to you, Joe came back and won it. Now, here's a real question: what were the decks that were played?
Oh man, I got no clue on the decks. Was that pre? That was just after the reset. So, oh yeah, I got nothing on the decks. What do you got?
I'll
You got
give
some
you a
inside scoop for
hint.
me? All right.
Uh, three of them are still, two of them are still very popular, and you might see them at the San Diego Super Open on
Wow.
the
Okay.
20th. Uh, those were being played by Brian Fred. The other two, not as popular. They still have their niches, but definitely they see some popularity, especially the dark side, by a certain other advocate who likes to scream Saboba.
Oh boy, that's interesting. So if I had to peg Brian Fred for a deck, I think I would have put him on Watch Your Step Raiders, but that's clearly not it because I'm not going to see Watch Your Step.
That is it.
Is it? Is
Yeah.
it? Okay, I didn't know that people were still in on that deck, so I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so I got one out of the four. Let's see. Dark Side, B Fred, something aliens. I don't know.
CCT.
Okay, okay, nice. I bet that was so that was. I wonder if he was playing the Scream card or if that was
Probably like the non-flip version because he was playing
yeah.
CCT with IG88.
Okay, okay.
And then as for what did Joe play,
I got no guesses on Joe.
so Joe played Watto for Dark.
Oh boy.
Yeah. and his light side was there and good is good in him.
Okay, solid. That's fun.
So a little bit of a blast from the past there for the San Diego Super Open. So, um, what do
I
you
will
think?
note that event had a fairly unique format too, as I recall. That we had a cube that counted for Swiss games
Mm-hmm.
on Friday, and that was that was a fun little twist. But I know that people aren't quite back in the cube spring of things, so we decided not to go with that this time. But
So we were talking about the format, like you were saying. So let's get into this format. So for Saturday, it's 6 games, Swiss, based on strength of schedule, and then Sunday is 4 games going into a top two. So
correct,
we're
yeah, yeah.
like, who came up with this idea?
It was pretty collaborative, honestly. We knew we wanted to try something different. And there were quite a variety of possibilities, and so we kind of whittled it down to okay, well, people don't really seem super excited about cube, so we won't add that in.
Mm-hmm.
People don't want to be forced to build 2 decks, so we don't want to like do a eliminate 1 deck when you sit down event, which was an idea that was suggested. Um, but I thought back to the old World Championships, which were I think 3 days of Swiss, because I think it was
Mm-hmm.
Swiss and then like a top 4 Swiss and then a final. That I think the final was still match play. But so I thought, why not just bust out more rounds of Swiss? It lets everybody keep playing, and as a kind of unique twist, if you want to try a new deck, especially with the errata set that just dropped, we're going to let people switch decks for those
Mm-hmm.
4 games on day 2, and then uh, for the finals they'll play whatever they played on the second day as well. So it lets people try something out, even if they're not doing so well. Gives them an environment where we're all just hanging out, having fun, and be able to get some real competition in with some new decks.
Okay. And so you're saying for day two, so if they switch their decks from day one to day two, they cannot make any changes to their decks for the finals, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the finals are going to be immediately after the top 4. Initially, we talked about giving them an hour and letting them switch decks again, but that proved like it was just going to be too much hassle between the deck
Mm-hmm.
lists and people teching for their opponent, things like that. And so we decided whatever they're playing on day 2 is what they're going to play in the finals, and we're just going to roll right into that.
Okay. And they're saying that if there's exactly one undefeated player, they'll be automatically put in.
Yep.
What if we have like a situation like it's going to be strength of schedule? So how is that going to work between day one and day two? Like, what has the tournament committee come up with for that?
So there was some discussion on that. Um, there are some imperfections to having this many rounds of Swiss with 25-ish participants, which is what we're looking at right now. But we decided ultimately to just keep it as one big tournament. So I'm just going to leave the tournament software running, save it,
Okay.
and keep going. So there not be any there won't be any repairs the next day. So if Joe and Brian, for instance, play each other twice during the 6 games on day 1, they won't face each other again unless they're both in the finals.
Okay.
Um, and so the strength of schedule, the records, everything will carry over to day 2. But all the players will be able to keep playing. There's no elimination. Um, so if you go 0-6, you can still play the 4 games on the next day and try a new deck, or
Mm-hmm.
or stick with the same deck if you want to get some
Yeah.
extra sleep if you want.
Awesome. And then on Saturday, or I'm sorry, on Sunday, instead of the normal consolation, you're doing another Throtto Cube Tacular tournament. Why no consolation?
Well, we just thought with the number of Swiss games we're already playing that another 4 or 6 Swiss games didn't make a lot of sense. And there was some enthusiasm for the cube from the participants. It just they didn't want to. First of all, they didn't want to have to commit to travel to get there Friday if we were going to play some cube games, which is how we kind of have to set it up
Mm-hmm.
to include them in the main event. And they didn't necessarily want it to count as part of the main event just because it's a new environment. It's untested. Well, it's not untested. We had it at Worlds, but
Mm-hmm.
imperfectly tested, if you will. And it's not something that's easily practicable either. Is the other thing with cube is it's tough to sit down and cube with other people without putting a lot of effort into it, and so people don't like that being a determining factor in the competition. But people did like it at Worlds and did want to have some fun with it. So I actually just received the cubes
Okay.
from Throtto today, so I'm looking forward to running that for everybody that wants to play after the main event.
Okay. And now I noticed on the forums that you posted that there's going to be 2 additional prize support items for those who make it to games 8 and 10.
Yes,
Can you
yes. I don't
share?
know. I don't know specifically what those are. They're in a box that's being shipped to me from Jared. It's en route right now.
Okay.
So I don't have that information, but I did I did tease this in Slack just now. I really need some hydration. My throat's getting a little dry here. Hmm.
I will say your background's kind
What's
of
that?
interfering. Okay.
What's that? Oh, it's the San Diego Open water bottle.
Oh, I want that.
Look at that thing. It turned out really cool.
Yeah.
And so this was an additional gift that was provided by an anonymous generous donor who's giving one to every participant at San Diego and then all the volunteers as well. So thank you
Oh,
to them. And
okay.
yeah,
That's
so we're looking forward
awesome.
to giving those out.
Yeah, I know. Those I think were you put those up in like there's a pre-registration award. Like I definitely thought those were a really good idea, and I'm really glad to see how nice that they turned out.
Yeah,
So
I'm very pleased with the way the logo turned out and everything too.
yeah. So I know this isn't like your normal intensive tournament. There's no like no Friday event or anything. What kind of special things are you guys going to be doing on like before the tournament, after the tournament, like as a group? I've heard possibly Disneyland. Is that going to happen?
Yeah, so Thursday, there's a group going to Disneyland, and we're gonna explore the world of Batu together. Matt Thornton put that together, so I'm really looking forward to getting up there and checking out the Millennium Falcon and all that with a bunch of other nerds. Should be fun to try and fly it together. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's Thursday, and then Friday we're just gonna be hanging out at the hotel,
Okay.
playing board games, maybe some pickup games of Star Wars if people want. It is also a certain Mike Kessling's birthday,
Oh no.
so we may have some birthday revelry involved as well. So that should be
Awesome.
a good time also.
And any thoughts on taking like some Star Wars cards or maybe some Dejerics with you to the Falcon?
Well, that's interesting. We could do that. We could
I
probably put that together.
I
If anybody has
know.
suggestions about some cards that we would need while piloting the Falcon, let me know. Shoot me a DM or a text or a Slack message, and we'll try and bring some of those with us and have them available as we pilot the Falcon.
Awesome. Yeah, because I know you, for example, have the one of the Dejeric tattoos on you. You're part of that club.
I do, and actually, that it's funny because that means that my tattoo is also 8 years old because that happened at the last San
Oh
Diego event.
wow.
It was me and Jerry and Bill Kafer all got our Dejeric tattoos. Sadly, neither of them will make it, but maybe some other people will try and get some cool. There was some movement about tattoos in the forums, and I would love to get another one as well. But the thing about getting a group tattoo is tattoos take a while and
They
are
do.
time intensive and labor intensive. So it's tough to like have 10 people say, "Oh, we all want to get tattoos at once." It's a great idea, but it doesn't usually practically turn out that well. So we'll
Yeah.
see if any of that happens.
Awesome. Well, I know the Friday beforehand. I know that you said it's like a hangout day and everything. Well, we're going to try and do Holotheatre again live from San Diego. Get some of the
Nice.
players who are there. I'm going to talk to Robbie, see if we can get that coordinated. So, but
Yeah, that
yeah,
sounds
I
great.
know that we're on a little bit of a time sketch just because we're going to do another interview with Batmouse here in a second to talk about the game PC. What are your thoughts on that? Like, you're not playing in the game PC, or why not?
True, true. I'm not playing in the gym PC. Honestly, my gem skills are not up to snuff for something like that. Nor are my Star Wars skills. So it's a tough ask. But I love the format, and I'm glad he's doing it. I saw we got 100 people signed up already, which is
Yes.
just so cool. So mad props to Sheriff Batmouse for that.
Yeah, we're going to talk to him, unveil the bracket here in a few. Um, Someday we're going to have to get you to play some Star Wars.
Someday, someday.
So, but I hope you do enjoy your time at the San Diego Super Open, Chris. It is a pleasure. I hope we can talk over the weekend and everything. I know you're going to be running the event, so thank you again for doing that. Thank you for putting it together, and thank you for doing everything that you do for the PC, man.
Yeah, and thank you for putting this interview together. And I'm sad that you're not gonna be able to make it out for the stream in person. But I know you're gonna be working hard on the ones and zeros, as they say, behind the scenes. So we will look to catch up after, or I
Definitely.
guess during San Diego, and then maybe after.
Sounds great, man. Well, you take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening, sir.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Okay, again, I want to thank Chris Schoenthal for coming on for his first individual interview ever. It's good to see Chris, and hopefully we'll have him back on soon. But now, for the moment that everybody essentially has been waiting for, the GIMP PC bracket reveal special with Batmouse. Enjoy. Him and I go into a little bit of detail with the bracket, and definitely it's going to be a fun little reveal show. So enjoy. So here I am sitting with the sheriff of Gemp himself, Mr. Anthony. I am Batmouse Howard. How are you doing today, Batmouse?
I'm doing real good. I am broadcasting tonight from a remote location. My
You're.
my children's bedroom.
No, that looks like it's your bedroom, sir.
Notice all of the K-pop everywhere.
Yeah,
It's
that's your
hilarious.
bedroom. I can see that.
Yeah.
So tonight we have you on because we're here to talk about your new show with Kendall Hallman. Uh,
Uh,
and
great fun show.
yeah, I listened to it. It was a good show. Like, I'm definitely interested in hearing more about it. I definitely like the style of it. Hopefully, Kendall sticks with it. So, but
Yeah,
no, we're here to talk about the GEM PC, and the bracket for all 100 players is ready to go, and we're about to talk about it and release the bracket to the public tonight.
absolutely.
So this is your seventh iteration of the GEM PC. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel really, really, really proud, happy, excited, terrified. All of the feelings, but all at once. Um, we Gem started out as you know the competitive portion of Gemp was, hey, who wants to play in a tournament? To,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm going to run a bigger tournament. To 112 players last year, or 110 players last year. To we only got 100 this year, but that's okay. Um,
Yeah.
it's insane. It's really insane.
Well, I think we give the players and the public what they're asking for tonight. We'll go ahead and run down the bracket, and then yeah, we'll talk a little bit about who you think is going to take this year's Gem PC. So let's start off with our number one overall person. That person is Joe Olson. So the bracket is up. You can see that Joe is our number one overall seed in Joe's bracket. So you do have a preliminary round to start off with. So let's go ahead and talk about those ones really quick. You got Mike Pistone versus James Martin. Robbie Hendon versus. Do you know who Schmicky is?
Um, Give me 1 second. I
You
can pull
actually
them up.
sent this over to me. You know what? I feel like
I
I
get
should pull it up too. Uh,
and then Gem screen names. Schmicky is Michael Morrison.
Michael Moore. Okay. Sorry. So let's get back into the bracket really quick. Yeah, I wanted to pull up the names as well. So again, it would be Robbie Hendon versus Michael. Then you have Amar Banger versus Zeke. Zeke is Zach Brazil Brosgel. Again, sorry if I'm apologize if
We're
I'm
butchering your names,
but
that's okay.
so they will place off, and they will have they'll be playing off against the winner of Robbie and Michael. Mike and James will play. Joe will be waiting for either Mike Pistone or James Martin, and then we have Paulion, who is Jason Rendau, against J.M. Warner, who is John Warner. The winner of that match will face off against Chris Kelly. And then Brad Iyer versus Idea Track. Idea Track is Lyndon Patter. The winner of that match will face off against your boy Brad Reinhold.
Yep, that's one I'm excited to see happen. Brad's been on a good run this year, and let's see if he can keep it going. Lyndon Prater coming from across the pond. Big help in basically coming up with the base idea for all of the Jedi Seals. So and seeing some open play and moving on in his progression and return to the game. Always happy to see that happen.
Yeah. Okay, so then on the second half of the Joe Olson bracket, essentially, let me pull it up. We have Ket Wall, also known as Kieran. He'll be facing off against Aaron F. Aaron F. is Aaron Freed. The winner of that match will face off against Taco Bill Kafer. Eric Spixma will face off against Steven Squarelock. Again, the winner of that match will face off against Matt Scott. Matt Thornton and Gibson Yim will face off, and then the winner will face Ryan Jelson. And your boy, Kendall Holman, faces off against Christopher Peterson. And then the winner of that match will face off against Sam Tashima. So right off the bat, let's talk about that bracket and the entirety of that bracket. For example, who do you like out of that bracket getting into, say, the top four?
Well, you obviously have to be a big fan of Joel Olsen being in that bracket, but you have a lot of great players like Chris Kelly there, and like you said, my boy Brad. I'm super happy to see them going. On the other side, Taco Bill, and then you also have there are a ton of great players there. Second round, you also have Ryan Jellison. That bracket is just it's just insanity.
And any particular individual that you see in the preliminary rounds that could make some waves?
So like actual upset wise, like Gibson Yim, a very good player. He traveled down for event in Alderaan. He's a NorCal guy, but he traveled down. So he can make some noise. And James Martin versus Stone. I haven't played Stone in a long time. They're super close. They're literally right next to each other in rankings anyway. So then an upset, but it could not be an upset. James was saying that he hadn't yet made it out of the first round of a Gem PC. This is his opportunity. I mean, his second round is Joe Olsen too.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
But beat number one, and you're the new number one.
True, you're the guy. You take down the guy, you become the guy. I like that.
You become the guy. You keep what you kill.
So out of that first round, the name that sticks out to me is Ketlaw or Kieran. Like he's a really solid European player. He plays a lot of good decks. He's not an easy opponent. He does have the potential to face Taco Bill, who you have as the number 2 seed.
Yeah, Taco Bill, he went on a crazy run last year. And then he Taco Bill did real good work. Um, like didn't he have an insane run during the OCS as well?
Yeah, he made the top 4. He took down Joelson and Matt Harrison Trainer in the OCS playoffs. So, giving that boy a top 2 seed, I can understand it. Okay, so let's get into the next grouping for the next bracket essentially, and the number 1 seed in that bracket is a man who has done he's had a good 2022, a really good 2022. So, and I think he deserves the number 1 seed, and that is Mike Kessling. What made you decide to put Mike as a number 1 seed?
Like you said, he had a good, like a massive run. And Kessling coming back and being involved in the game and new allies. New allies is like a massive team, but that's so I also heard from like Brad Reinhold, who who luckily dodged him at the Dagobah Regional last year, but all we talked about was what Kessling was doing, this and that, and
yeah.
And so that piqued my interest. And anytime that somebody who doesn't win who doesn't win that specific tournament, still has the attention of everybody in that tournament, it is already put like proper marks in the book for me. But then the rest of everything that he did for the year is like how can I justify moving someone who's but really the top 8 players are all good enough that I could have just thrown them into a bag and shuffled and pulled out everybody except for Joe, and put anybody there and put anybody in any spot there.
That's fair.
Like Shaw could have jumped into the top 4 and top 4 overall seeds, but
okay. And then so the winner between John Veazey and let's see, Charlie Hickey will face against Mike Kessling. Pat Johnson faces off against Jules Kroll. Again, pardon me if I... and then we have Miguel versus Echo Tune. Echo Tune, again, is Thomas Kasperson. And again, they will the winner of those 2 matches will face off in the second round. Looking down on the lines, you have Jeremy DePaulo as the 4 seed in this bracket. He will face the winner of Jared Konsker and Charlie Hearn. Thank you. And then Brad Kipple is a 5 seed. He will face the winner of Ed Shiena and Magnus. So that's interesting to see Magnus on there. So that's your top half of the Mike Kessling bracket. And then looking on down the line, we just mentioned him. Greg Shaw is your number 2 seed in this bracket. He awaits the winner between William Bachelor and Jeffrey Johns.
Jeffrey Johns.
And then you have Jeff Levine. He will face the winner of Chris Goglin and Jim Boyle. Jim, who's a Pittsburgh guy. Chris Werfs faces the winner between Kevin Yop and the guy who beat me last year, Jaron Waters. And then last we have Kuhn, who awaits Wayne Cullen and Mikhail Kasperson. So there you have it. The Mike Kessling bracket, so to speak. So again, who do you like out of that bracket?
Um, Out of that bracket, that's a real tough toss up because Kessling, Shaw, both great players.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeff Levine, former Killer B, now a member of Team Five, is in that bracket. You've got
Chris Wirfs,
Chris Worth, a current Killer B. You've
Jeremy
got
DiPaolo, who top aided at Worlds.
yeah. This is if somebody was going to say to this point of the two portions of the bracket, this is the murderer's row bracket. This is the bracket you didn't want to be a part of, essentially. And like, have fun, boys.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I'm not in this bracket.
So
Like, really glad I'm not in this bracket.
So who do you like as a dark horse out of that first round?
So upset out of the first round. So it's always really hard because the European players, like we don't spend much time following what happened with them. So I could be horribly wrong in my in my ranking of like Ekoton and Brief Karga, and they could jump up and punish the players that they're facing. But then you could get like crazy upset, like your Pittsburgh guy could take out Gogolin.
I mean, he is a NARP, but yeah, I can see it. Like, I know that Gogolin, he won the Gem PC a couple of years ago.
He did. I still have a pile of things on my desk that have been moved like a dozen times, but that I will eventually mail to him.
But I mean, looking at this bracket, like we were just talking about, the European players are really good. Like, we don't know, Miguel's a really good player. He definitely has that chance of surprising a lot of people. Chris Gogolin, if he's in his form, I think he could definitely turn some heads. But the guy that I have my eye on is Kuhn. Kuhn's a really good player. Like, he doesn't. Like, he didn't show up at Worlds this past year, but he has a lot of potential. I know he made the top 8 out at the European Championships, and he made the top 8 at Endor. So,
and then he also he was my opponent in the Champions League too. He was in my pod in Champions League.
And how many times did he beat you?
He did not. I beat him both of those games.
Oh, okay. Touche.
Joe crushed my soul.
Joe crushes everybody's soul.
Yeah, but I almost turned that around. I finished ninth in the Champions League, so there's that.
True.
All right.
Okay. On to our next bracket. The number 1 seed out of this one, and our number 2 overall seed is the man who came in second at Worlds this past year and who's fighting against Joe Olsen in the Championships League very soon, actually. Mr. Matt Harrison Trainer. I think Matt is the other person I would have said that if you put everybody into a hat and you want to pull out like your number 1 and your number 2 seeds, I think he's right there with Joe right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you put everybody else's name in a hat and like you have to select 2 to set aside for the 2 names you set aside, and then toss them up, and one of those is number 1, one is number 2, and there's very few arguments for one to be in the other spot.
Okay, so Matt will face the winner of Adam Raddick and Peter Jacobson. And then we have Stimpy, who is Bill Pittman. He will face off against Phil.
New player
out of looks like he's out of Levittown. I'm not really sure where he's out of, but Phil Pipitone he'll face Bill Pittman. David Woods will face off against.
Nope.
Oh, I always think that No Reply is David Woods.
No, that was David Wood. you may be looking at a little bit older of a bracket. So what
Ah,
happened if we were trying to avoid teammate matching up with
that's
with
fair.
player, and so I in the first two rounds, trying to keep teammates away from each other. So that now Garrett Larson, dead body, is in
Okay.
that spot
Okay.
of no replies.
And he'll face off against Matt Yulooms. Again, sorry. And then again, they will face off in the second round, the winner of those two matches. And then Connor Britton faces off against Scotland Gorell. I'm sorry. Connor will face between the winner between Scotland Gorell
And Tony Duo,
and Tony Duva, who is Tony Peterson. Uh,
right?
and then we have Justin Miyashiro. He'll face off against the winner of David Center
And
and
Adam Bot,
Adam Bott. Thank you.
no problem.
I was going to say he's not on the list.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Adam Bot and Michael Pitone joined and Paul McPherson joined the bracket later when I had to mesh people. I had a player drop out, and I needed a partner to fit people back in, and that's how we got to 100. So those three aren't on the list. Sorry.
Okay. So there we have it, our top half of the Matt Harrison trainer bracket. And then as for the bottom half, your number 2 seed is Drew Lichtenstein. He will face the winner of James Thorne and
Chris
Chris
Westergaard.
Westergaard. And then we have Dead Bothan, who is
Dennis Reinhardt.
Dennis Reinhardt will face the winner of Dan Tartaglione and John McDaniel. Kyle Kruger will face off the winner against Daniel Amore and Eric Hawbaker. And then our lovely, wonderful sheriff, Mr. Batmouse himself, puts himself in the top. You put yourself in the top. You put yourself in a 5 spot. You will face off against John McFarlane and Joe C. So there we have it, the Matt Harrison trainer bracket, where Batmouse definitely put himself pretty high.
Well, it's my tournament. I get to put myself where I want to.
So who do you like out of that bracket?
Oh, that's obvious. I like Coffee Pass. I'm
Well, I'm saying the
always
entirety of the Matt Harrison trainer bracket. Who do you like?
Well, I just told you, Coffee Pass.
Okay.
I'm always a big fan of myself. It's Matthew Harrison trainer. It is, but again, Coffee Pass. It's rough. I don't love being in the bracket, but if I'm gonna put myself high enough to not play in the first round, I need to put myself where I'm gonna get beat, by some of the best competition in the field.
Yeah,
and I'm okay with that.
That's fair. So outside of like the Matt Harrison trainers, the name that I like is Kyle Kruger. Like, he top 8 at Worlds last year. I mean, yeah, there's Matt Harrison trainer who also top 8 at Worlds last year, but Kyle has been on a nice little roll. Drew is definitely one of those players that I'm looking at and like I'm a little worried about. I'm not excited to play John or Dennis, just because reasons. But outside of that, like in those first round matches, looking at like somebody who can go possibly far, I'm looking at David Center.
Oh yeah, Lone Hawkeye is for sure a guy who can push, he can make waves, he can get there.
Yeah.
There are you'll know, I don't know if you'll notice, but there are 1, 2 off the top of my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 killer bees in this bracket.
That's not good.
I didn't know if you counted that, but there were 6 of them. But again, like trying to keep teammates away from each other in round 1 and round 2 is where it is a little difficult. But we're gonna wind up, Killer Bee's teammates can wind up facing each other in round 3,
Yeah.
and that's what that balances it out.
Mm. Yeah, it is possible, but we'll see what happens. And then on to our last bracket of the event. Let's go ahead, and our number 1 seed in that bracket is everybody's favorite guy who snaps, Brian Fred. Brian Fred, what made you put Brian Fred as a number 1 seed?
Beefred had an amazing year, and then he's Beefred, and he made me laugh uncontrollably. To and anytime you have to travel by and see Sakajawa,
True.
Beefred had a great year. He was solid. He top aided at least 2 events in the past year.
3.
3 events,
Nationals and Euros.
There you go. So, again, not paying close enough attention to the European tournaments had me missing a 3rd top 8 for Beefred.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so that's why he got his number 1 overall spot.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay, so Beefred will face the winner of Chad Lawrence and Tom Sarachan. Mike Turner faces off against Joshua May. And then there we have David Woods, and he will face off against Thomas Santo Suso.
The butchering continue.
It's never. I mean, yeah. Again, I apologize.
It's never gonna be great, but it's okay.
And then there we have, and then our number 4 seed is Jared Napolitano. He will await the winner of Paul McPherson and Sean Lutz. And then Charlie Arlinson will face the winner of
Lawrence Kraft
and
Pierre Dubril.
Yep. Another member of Team
Killer Bees.
So there you have the top half of the Brian Fred bracket. Moving on to the second half. Justin Branch is the number 2 seed out of that bracket. He will face off against Adam Trunzo or Brandon Bunn. Matt Lutz will wait for the winner of
Kyle Callan
and David Morrison. Timo Dussel, he will face off against the winner between Brandon Beatty and Alex Prodrell. And then last but not least, Gemp Tom himself, Tom Struther, will face off between either Crazy Carl Koenig,
or Blake Silkwood.
And yep, exactly, Blake Silkwoods. So there you have it, our last bracket. So who do you like in that one?
This one is kind of really the hardest bracket for me to go. Oh, and here's the Cinderella run. Here is the guy that's gonna upset things. Like, Brian Fred playing him amazing. Then you wind up with Jared Napolitano. You get Charlie Arlinson. You get Justin Branch. Matt Lutt, much love Matt. I love CRG so much. You get Dylan and you get Tom. Like the second round players that got the buys for that bracket.
There's a
That
good players,
Those are really good players. That is,
and you
you know,
have
I know
Tom as a 5 seed. That's I'm
you have Tom
sorry,
as
sir, but bad. Like out of this bracket, yeah, don't get me wrong. I love B Fred, but Tom is going to be a hard out, and I feel sorry for whoever. I feel sorry who is going to have to play Tom in the first round, whether that's Carl or Blake, and then I feel sorry for the rest of his opponents because Tom. I feel like Tom is going to have a chip on his shoulder, and rightfully so.
yeah, and Tom can have a chip on his shoulder, and rightfully so. I love Tom. Tom won and won an online one online event.
Yeah.
But if you look at like to justify like the 5 seed, like it's hard to justify the 5 seed, but it's hard to argue about the players ahead of him too.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the problem. Like I said, is you have so many people that you could just throw these names in a hat, pull them out, and throw them out in any random order, and nobody's really going to be upset about the order that comes out for that bracket. But by far, this one, like, I love the potential collision courses of Tom versus Dylan.
That's fair.
You know, Silver Glen and CRG having, you know, but like Adam Trumbo, no slouch. He could give Justin Branch a run for his money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you've seen OCS things happen before. Charlie Arlinson and Paul McPherson, you know, another European player. You know, he could give the business to Jared Napolitano. So you got tournament committee versus marketing advocate. You know, things can happen. And I'm really excited for this bracket. Yeah. Like, I really want to see how that goes.
So give me a name out of the first round who you think can make a run.
So I just said Trunzo can make a run out of this bracket. David Wood can make a run out of this bracket. Mike Turner, who Indoor Gentlemen's Club, you know, could make a run. Kyle Callan could make a run. Kyle Callan top 8'd it at Indoor.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I've got Killer B in this bracket. I got Killer Kiwi in this bracket. Brandon Beatty. You got 2 B's, then twice the Killer B in him, right? And those are the first round guys that could really. This one's hard to pick like an upset, and which is perfectly fine because not everybody gets their Cinderella run.
Yeah.
You know, but this is a rough bracket, like, in general. And I kind of like that. Kind of like that a lot.
Okay. So I'm going to have to go with Kyle. Like Kyle Kalin. Like you were just saying. Like, he top 8'd Indoor. The guy's no slouch. Out of those opponents in the second round, and this is no offense to anybody, but CRG looks like the easiest one or the most upsettable one. But again, there's a reason why CRG is, you have him at 27.
Yeah, CRG is. I've played Matt Lutt twice in person, once on stream, and once in a back room in the middle of Atlanta. And both of those were probably among my most nerve-wracking games.
That's fair.
And CRG is very good, and he 100% deserves to be where he is. And I wish him good luck against Kyle Callan because Indoor Gentlemen's Club as well. Let's go.
Okay, so give me a top 4. Like, give me your top 4 prediction. Like, no favoritism, no nothing. Just give me who you like is top 4.
Silver Glen.
Okay.
Justin Branch taking out B Fred along the way. I'm gonna put it on my own personal bracket that I make the top 4. That's not gonna happen. So Matthew Harrison Trainer comes out of that one.
Okay.
then we're gonna go. I'm actually gonna go Greg Shaw, get fast,
Okay.
Kessling to move on, and then Joe Olson is going to make a massive run and be right there. But uh, Brad Reinhold, if he can finish school, they're my favoritism again. Joe Olson comes out of that bracket unless Brad can wrap up his school stuff and concentrate on beating Joe. But we've seen Brad beat Joe before as well.
Okay. I like it. Okay, well, thank you for coming on, Batmouse. It's always a pleasure to have you on here to talk about your bracket. And then, what is the official start date for the game PC?
So the official start date is going to be. We're going to go ahead and make that right. Actually, so as soon as the bracket comes out, you can start playing your games. Please private message me, Slack me, somehow get in contact with me. Do not publicly post the results of your games until Saturday morning.
Okay.
Saturday morning is when I will close bracket predictions. In the meantime, fill out bracket. Fill out a couple brackets if you can, and make some predictions and put in a funky one, put in a real one. The more people that select Batman to move on to a couple rounds, maybe they're shiny in your future for it.
So if you make Batmouse win the entire thing, what happens?
Well, I mean, if you make Batman win the entire thing, shiny is all about.
Okay.
There's no limit to the number of shinies I may send your way.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, sir. It is always a pleasure. Get out there, play your games if you're in the game PC. If you're in the game PC, or if you're not in the game PC, go ahead and watch some games. It's always going to be a fun time. Yeah, that's all we got for tonight. So thank you, Batmouse.
Of course.
Okay. Back to myself now with the wrap up of the show. Okay, so again, I want to thank Batmouse and Chris Schoenthal for their interviews. It's always great to have them on. Just as a heads up, if you're going to San Diego, Jared went ahead and posted all the prizes that are going to be given out. Checking up on those, including if you play all 10 games, you're going to get the San Diego Super Open logo holo sticker. And you're going to get a pack of Jabba's Palace, Cloud City, or Premier as your incentives to play all your 10 games. I say just play all 10 games because it's fun, but prizes are always nice. So everybody make sure you stay tuned to the channel. In just a second, Garrett Larson and I are going to be bringing you the end of the Champions League with the finals between Matt Harrison Trainer and Joe Olson. Next week, Holotheatre is going to be on Friday, coming to you live from the San Diego Super Open. Robbie Hendon is going to help out with that while I am stuck in Pittsburgh. But until then, everybody take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. And as always, may the force be with you.